So how do I go and move forward and open up this dialogue without being stonewalled from them by challenging their position and them feeling like they have to defend it? Ladies and gentlemen, what's up? This is BC. Welcome back to another episode of Supreme Being. We're back in Miami after the Real Rise conference there in San Diego. Had a good time. Got to meet a lot of you who have been following for a while. And I wanted to come on and in kind of continuance of the event and building more momentum for people, I really wanted to emphasize episode today on just dialogues and the conversations. What I love about that I heard about the conference from like Ben Kinney and other people is they emphasize and always talked about a lot of the core basic principles, you know, and these are people that are legends in the industry, and they're literally telling you a lot of the same stuff that I've been preaching for 10 years. And it's not to toot my own horn. It's to say, no matter, you know, who it is at those levels, we're saying the same stuff and we're building our businesses on the same principles, and the things that we focus on are the same things, right? And we're in a state right now where a lot of people are, you know, running and looking for something new, when in reality, the answer is right in front of us. So, right, in honoring of that, right, I wanted to come on and give you guys some killer lines, some 3, 4, 5 questions that you can use when you're talking to people to capture their attention, redirect the conversation, refocus it on, you know, something that's productive in the conversation to move it forward, and really give you some ammunition when you're out there talking to people, okay? So let's say you're talking to somebody on the phone or at the door, and someone says, well, you know, we're just going to do this. Like you ask somebody, hey, you know, are you guys still interested in selling your house? Like an expired for, you know, listing. Or, I mean, this could be for any industry, right? But just think of a situation where you ask somebody a question, right? If we're going to keep this general, and we can say recommending or asking if they're going to follow a certain course. And they say, you know, we were going to do that, or we were thinking of that, but now because of fill in the blank, the home didn't sell, interest rates, right? Or whatever the excuse is, instead of doing that, we're now going to do this, right? So this is the question that will pierce through that and give you some room to talk to them now, right? They'll say, you know what, we were thinking of selling the home, but now we're just going to rent it out. This is the question. Write this down. Is that really what you want? I understand, Mr. Seller, right? I'm sure you're frustrated. However, is that really what you want, though? Okay. Now you pause after you ask that question, because they're going to say, well, no, but we feel like we have to do it because blah, 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 blah. Now, when they give you that response, they're going to give you all the ammunition you need, if you really listen, to keep the conversation going. They'll say, yeah, that's what we wanted, but our agent screwed us over, and now we can't sell the house because the interest rates are high, right? Well, if I get that now, I can continue the conversation, versus if I just accept the stonewall of, well, we're going to rent it out or whatever. It doesn't really give me much wiggle room to take it where I want to take it, right? So this is why when you ask these powerful questions that just pierce through like a lightning bolt, like Zeus's lightning bolt, it allows you to recapture control, shift the perspective in the conversation, and lead it towards somewhere that can potentially lead to you getting their information, following up, getting an appointment, getting a bona fide lead, or something that's good for both parties, for the salesperson and for the client, okay? Question number 1, is that really what you want, or is that really what you want though? Okay. Remember, the key with these lines is proper delivery. If you have the proper delivery, they hit like a ton of bricks. Okay. That's number 1. Number 2, someone's unsure about something, right? Well, we're not sure we're going to do this. You know, we're not sure when we want to put the home on the market. We're not sure when we want to move. We're not sure when we want to move forward with XYZ offer, XYZ product or service, right? If they say that, this is what you can say to help narrow, right, the focus, and help them come up to a more reasonable, accurate timeline and solution. Okay, write this down. Best case, blank. Best case, Bryan. How do you see this happening? Best case scenario. How do you see this going down? What would happen starting today? Oh, if it was a best case scenario, we would blah, blah, blah. Listen. Because by saying best case scenario, I'm removing a lot of the barriers. I'm giving them the opportunity now to speak upon all these things that they want to happen that constantly conflict with our, you know, real world, we can say perspective, like most people, which is negative. They don't like it, right? This will help you tremendously with that. So when I say this, it allows them unconsciously to remove all the stuff that would be complaints or, you know, what they think is the worst case scenario, and give you, ideally in their mind, how they see this thing working out. Okay. Another way of saying that is if you could have it any way you wanted, Mr. Blank, Mrs. Blank, Mr. and Mrs. Blank. How would this happen? Walk me through the timeline over the next couple months of how this would happen if you could have it any way you wanted, right? Killer question. Best case scenario, how do you see this happening? Fantastic, right? Because when you do this, again, you're giving them proper direction. That's what I love about a lot of the questions that I give you guys and the dialogues that we cover is I'm giving them the opportunity with the questions to go in their head and give themselves and me the solution. And then it's up to you to guide it forward from there. Okay, that's number 2. Number 3, again, let's say somebody isn't giving you much. They're giving you kind of a stone wall. Again, they're not sure or they're just not opening up, right? Like let's say I'm talking to somebody who maybe I believe or I suspect wants to do something in real estate, buy a home, invest in a property or sell, but for whatever reason, they're just giving me the wall or not giving me enough details. I'll say this. You know what, Mr. Blank, Mrs. Blank, what has to happen? Write this down. What has to happen for you to sell your home? What has to happen for you to make this move? What has to happen for you to even consider making a move? What has to happen for you to ... fill in the blank? That's the line. What has to happen for you to blank, right? Great question, because now I'm getting straight to the point on the criteria of what they need to do what it is that they want to do. Sell a home, buy a home, move, whatever. What has to happen for you to blank? Straight up. Now, again, that question delivered properly will get you the answer. The only way you won't get the details that you want is if you fail to have rapport. Right? If you don't have rapport and people aren't really talking to you too much, it's not comfortable yet, you haven't gotten through that beginning portion where you kind of have to fight to get their attention and get them to open up a little bit, I wouldn't use that question. This one would be like mid to late part of the conversation for you to be this direct, but also still get a pretty good answer, right? What has to happen for you to blank? Okay, that's number 3. And the last one that I'll give you, okay? Let's say, because I deal with this a lot, talking with business people, real estate agents, salespeople, and you get this in the field too in real estate. People will give you these factoids, these little lines that you know are BS or the news gave it to them or somebody gave them false information. And you're like, how do I challenge this without coming off as negative, putting them in a bad position and causing them to defend their position, like the critical factor. If you guys remember, you learned this in hypnosis. If you activate somebody's critical factor, you can't influence them and they have to default to defending their position because you're telling them that they're wrong. So how do I go and move forward and open up this dialogue without being stonewalled from them by challenging their position and them feeling like they have to defend it, okay? So let's say like it's in real estate, right? I hear it all the time. Oh, the market sucks, or I heard blah, blah, blah. Like some news station said the market's going to crash in the next 30 days, right? Something that you're like, dude, this is ridiculous. This is my line. Write this down. Interesting. Where did you hear that? Interesting. Who did you hear that from? Right? Now I'm showing curiosity. Interesting. Where did you hear that? Right? Almost like, please tell me, right? This works because of course, they're going to feel like almost, what would be the word? Acknowledged. Oh, yeah, I heard it from Yahoo News. And then I could continue and say, and I'm glad you brought that up because, I'm studying the market all the time and I've heard multiple people say what you said. Now, and then I can continue and go with like what I researched and open the conversation. But the key here is that line opens it up. They'll be acknowledged, they'll feel acknowledged, they'll tell you where they got it from, their source, and then now you can keep the dialogue going without attacking them per se. Because I can say, well, it's interesting, I've heard that, but when I actually took a look myself after hearing that at the numbers, I found something different. You want to know what I found? Oh yeah, what? Right? They're going to be a lot more likely to get in that conversation versus me just telling them they're wrong or, oh no, that the news said that and it's wrong, right? So this is when I always talk and preach to you guys about skills. This is where having the right question at the right moment and opening up a conversation the right way, like a surgeon, is what separates the top people, the cream of the crop, from everybody else when it comes to text message marketing, conversations, just overall communication and sales. Because when you do this stuff right, it is irresistible for people to keep talking to you, and they will give you all the information that you need to see if they're a lead, right? Get an appointment or do something that leads to you continuing this conversation in the future. Okay. So that's it for this one, guys. We'll keep it short and sweet. Some killer lines for you out there to have better conversations. Again, if you guys need anything, I appreciate the support. Go to bryancasella.com. Check out my coaching courses, the Real Estate Agagi, Distinguished Agent. We have a ton of options. If you want to discuss them, set up a strategy call with us and we can go over everything with you, or you can sign up directly on the website. And lastly, if you're interested in joining Real Brokerage and you're listening to this in the real estate industry, I've added a ton of people recently. I'm on a mission to add at least 20 more people to my organization by the end of the year in the next 2 months. Reach out to me, set up a call. Let's talk about Real and see if it's a good fit for the both of us. Okay, that's it for this one. We'll see you on the next episode. Peace.